Hello and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by Craft Beer Nation. Today is Thursday, October 29th, 2015, and we are joined by Ben Weiss, Director of Brand Marketing of the Brewery out of Placencia, or however you, out of California. I didn't want to say placenta or anything like that.
But you just did. You sound like
Anyway,
me.
we're going to talk a little bit about their history and his road to the brewery. So stay there, find out what they have going on right now, what's coming up in the future, and all that good stuff. So pour that beer in a glass and get comfortable. And while the theme music plays, that'll be the perfect time for you to subscribe to our Pints and Quarts podcast on YouTube, or, well, not the podcast on YouTube, but you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. The podcast is on iTunes and Stitcher. You can follow us on Facebook. We tweet at CBN Community, and we're also on Instagram at craftbeer_nation. All right, so again, our guest is Ben Weiss. Ben, how are you doing tonight?
Can't complain. Thanks for having me.
This is an interview that we are excited about, the one that we've definitely been looking forward to. But before we get started, I want to introduce our panel. We have Lola Laracy joining us from Jacksonville. Lola, how are you?
I'm great. What about you?
I am doing fantastically fine. Linda Dean joining us from Corvallis, Oregon. Linda, how are you tonight?
Spoiled for choice. Oh, I'm so happy with the brewery right now.
Linda had like an abundance of choices of beers from the brewery to choose from for tonight's show.
Absolutely.
Freddie Rodriguez joining us from Boston, where the Patriots are playing right now. So excuse him if he's a little disconnected. How you doing, Freddie?
I'm doing good. Patriots are up 9-0. Wait. Yep. Field goal. Okay.
No one cares.
12.
And we have Gil Mello joining us from Ephrata, Pennsylvania. Gil, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, yeah.
All right.
Running around.
Everyone knows Randy's a hater.
And I'm Randy Gardner, joining from Woodbridge, Virginia, just 20 miles south of D.C. All right, so Ben, tell us a little bit about your background. Not necessarily so much about your background with the brewery at this juncture, but your background with beer. How did you get into beer? Period.
My background with beer.
Craft beer.
People, I guess. I started as a home brewer. That's
okay.
Where actually a lot of us at the brewery started from.
Okay.
No, I drank a bunch of crap in college and found some beer out when I was traveling in Europe after that. But then I started homebrewing with my roommate back in the day. And that's where I fell in love, and then joined a homebrew club, and that's where I really got into the whole craft beer opposed to homebrewing, because we would share beers all the time at our monthly meetings, and that's when I really found that love for all these crazy, wild things out there.
So how did that transition to a position at the brewery?
Dumb luck and good timing, I guess. I was a homebrewer for a while, and I quit my previous job because I was pretty sick of it. I used to work in the music industry, actually. And I'd been in touch with Patrick a little bit as he was writing a blog about the troubles he was going through to start his project. And he told me to get back in touch when he started, and happened to be right when I left my old job. So I said, hey, man, I just want to learn more about brewing beer and come in, help you out while I'm looking for another job. And he let me come in and help out, and 7.5 years later, I'm still there. So he started paying me one day. It was cool.
Absolutely dumb luck, right? I mean, you were fortunate, to say the least.
One have to make his own luck, his or her own luck, right? It's not all luck. In this business, you have to be good at it as well, because you can only be lucky for so long when it comes to beer.
Yeah, well, I think I proved my worth, and I know Tyler, our original brewing director, used to just like me because I was good at following his directions. That's what it takes to be an assistant brewer. That's really what you need to do. The head brewer says do this, you do it.
So they say luck is a combination of opportunity and preparation. So there you go. That worked out for you. So
do you think? Sorry, Randy.
Go ahead, Linda. Go ahead.
Do you think that are your personal goals for brewing going in the direction you want them to go?
For the brewery?
For your own personal experimentation and exploration of beer, Is it going the way you want it to go?
Yeah, I mean, I don't brew anymore, which makes me kind of sad sometimes. But yeah, I mean, as far as the beers that are coming out of our brewery, I love it. It's fun every day. It's very hard, but it's fun.
So aside from Patrick being employee number 1, were you employee number 2?
Tyler, our head brewer back then, would have been employee number 2, and I was at number 3.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
and so when was the brewery opened? And
We call our anniversary May of 2008. I think that was
okay,
actually the anniversary of when we sold our first beer. Yeah,
okay.
I started in June.
What was your first beer?
The first beer that I had from the brewery?
No, the first beer that you guys sold.
Oh, it was a beer called Levids. It was called Bash and Roll. It was from a homebrew contest. It was sort of a Belgian golden ale, sort of a Duvel style clone. We actually just remade it, 2 months ago, just for the first time ever. It was better this time because we knew what we were doing.
So, what's the brew house size there? I mean, you guys are nationally known. Everybody seeks out a lot of your beers, particularly Black Tuesday, which is I think said to be released here shortly. Tart of Darkness is iconic as a sour stout. I mean, you guys make some iconic beers. Period. How big is your brew house?
Much smaller than most people think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, people are always amazed when they come by from the East Coast and see our place, and they're amazed that's what's on the shelf. Yeah, until about 3 months ago, we were brewing on a 15-barrel brew house, completely manual, like as I like to say, like no buttons on it. It was all you had to get in there, and you're actually like in the mash, raking things around. There was no automation at all in that system. 15 barrels at a time. Literally about 3 months ago, we finally upgraded to a brand new system, 30-barrel brew house. So still not huge, but twice the size of what we had, and much more state-of-the-art. Beautiful system from GEA out in Germany. Actually, one of the first of its kind, because they're a company that usually makes really big, macro-sized brew houses. This is one of the first sort of tiny brew houses that they put together. So we're the guinea pigs.
So brewing on a 15 barrel brew house, that means you guys are literally brewing batch after batch after batch, just constantly brewing.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, the first years it was just a couple times a week, but then it became 24 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Wow. And you probably had more and more distributors knocking on your door saying, we need more of this beer, it's selling out or whatever. And so that just stretches.
We're in a nice situation. We're spread really, as you mentioned, we're spread really far around the country. For a brewery that's we only did about 10,000 barrels last year total, but we're in about half the states.
Yeah, I'm surprised because you guys are everywhere. It seems to me.
Wait, you only did 10,000 barrels last year? That's amazing.
I think we actually didn't even hit 10,000 last year, if I remember the numbers correctly. Yeah.
That is insane. So how many states do you have distribution in? 25, you said? Well, half the states?
I think it's like 27 now. 27 now, something like that.
That's
it's kind of crazy.
So that's why
it's really shallow. To guys like you who love craft beer, you think it's everywhere, but to the average person, they have no idea who we are. Man, it's not easy to find.
Well, since you're talking about size and your distribution, tell us a little bit about your society, kind of your membership. I know you guys did. I just missed your lottery on your last beer. How does that work? And how do you guys? Is that something you guys had it from the beginning?
Yeah, you have 2 different.
The societies. Right? We have 3 different memberships actually. So we have Preservation Society, Reserve Society, Hoarder Society. We started the Reserve Society. We first sold it in 2009, actually on Black Tuesday in 2009. So it started in 2010. So this is our 5th year right now. And it kind of originally was just an idea, Patrick had. We make all these really weird beers, and also as anyone out there who is starting their own breweries realizes, there's a lot of costs involved, especially when you're doing barrel-aged beers that you're not getting the money back for. We're brewing something today that you're not going to drink until maybe even 2017, something like that. So it was a way to get a little bit of money and make sure that we had people who were excited about trying all these beers. And it's kind of just grown over the years. Now we have the 3 different membership levels, and it's a lot of fun.
So
What's the difference? Sorry, what's the difference
Okay.
between that and the lottery that you guys do? Because you don't have to be a member.
I think
to participate.
you're talking about the Black Tuesday lottery, probably.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the only beer we do like that. Black
Oh.
Tuesday we open up to the masses, but we distribute around 20 beers a year. We bottle probably around 60 to 65 beers a year. So most of those beers, a couple of those are sold in our tasting room, but most of them are strictly for our society members. You have to be a member to get those.
So who are you guys as a brewery? Like, what's your identity? I mean, obviously you're not. I mean, you do make some hoppy beers because I'm drinking your hoppy Belgian Golden right now. But like,
We don't make an IPA though.
right? You don't make an IPA, but so is your identity? You do a ton of barrel aged beers. Is that
Yeah.
who you are?
So it's interesting because we launched the second brand this year, Bruery Rue, which was kind of a split off of what we were already making. So, the Tartar Darkness and Nude Tartar are all those brands now. So we kind of have one overall identity of just really being experimental and, just excited about making interesting flavors. But split across the board, the Brewery brand is really, it's that experimental element, almost homebrewer-esque, really just trying to play with flavors. And then, of course, the bourbon barrel ages beers is a huge part of that side of our company. And then on Bruery Rue, that's what we call our wildly traditional beer. So that's more of the old school Belgian-style farmhouse beers. Some experimentation, of course. We actually just put out a sour beer that has like ghost peppers and passion fruit in it. So we're not exactly going super traditional. But, so that's more of our sour Brett beer side of the company. But yeah, no hardcore hoppy day drinking by the pool football beers.
Well, you got enough of that in your area, so there's no need to.
That's what we always figure. San Diego's got plenty of amazing IPAs for us to enjoy. So
Ben, you spoke about how you guys come up with these crazy wild beers. So you guys have Grey Monday, Black Tuesday, Mocha Wednesday. I guess I want to know, like, how you guys came about that, those names, ingredients, etc. That little series, I guess you want to call it. And secondly, are there any other days in the works? Is there a Thursday or Friday? You guys thinking about that, or?
Everyone wants to know. That began, Black Tuesday. Honestly, it was like I wish we could say that we're some sort of marketing geniuses over here, but it was kind of just a mistake almost. I think back in 2008, our first year of brewing, Patrick and Tyler were at lunch one day, and they were just like, "Hey, we got all this extra grain, all these specialty malts that we had left over from other beers we made." And they're like, "Oh, let's just make a kitchen sink beer. We'll just make some giant stout, throw all this extra grain into there, throw it in a barrel, see what happens." And it actually ended up just being. You can find it deep in our blog on our website. It's my famous moment. I was actually brewing beer that day. So, credit.
Cheers.
But, I made Black Tuesday, but no, it was just a really crappy brew day, and like everything went wrong. And Patrick put up a post about how shitty the day was, and we then just put the blog up, and someone actually commented that it should be called Black Tuesday, and that's where the name came from. Since then, we've just added different things. Chocolate Rain came from a cask we had one day where we added chocolate and vanilla, and we did a dinner once where the restaurant wanted us to add these Oregon hazelnuts, so that became a Monday. And there is a Thursday in the works for next year, hopefully. We're planning the recipe right now, playing around.
I love the Christmas, the whole Christmas session.
12 Days of Christmas.
The 12 Days of Christmas is at first I thought it was a joke, but after actually having the 8 Maids of Milking, that was a great idea.
Well, thank you. I wish we knew what we were going to do next year.
I feel like you guys are gonna
7 Swans was solid.
I think you guys are gonna surprise everybody with the Thursday beer and make something that's totally not. It's totally outside of the norm for you guys. It's gonna be like a tropic Thursday or something.
We gotta make sure it's good.
Yeah.
Tropical.
People send us ideas all the time.
With
we just had a bunch of weird, because we just had our Black Tuesday release the last 2 days. We had a bunch of casks that were full of all sorts. We had a pecan pie flavor, key lime pie, macadamia nut, pistachio, chai latte.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just making this jealous now.
You're killing us
Alright,
East Coasters.
There's
Gotta go back
see,
in time.
there's nothing normal about any of these beers. So, they're all exciting.
Yeah, well, it's 19.5% alcohol imperial stouts. What are you gonna do?
I know. What are you gonna do? Somebody got to drink it.
Except for call a
So-
cab afterwards. That's the only thing I'm gonna do.
And where does Brewery Terroir come into play on how this? Is that a separate thing that you guys doing? Is it just the same?
Yeah. So we've internally been split on our production side for quite a while now. So we actually Brewery Rue is actually it's 3 miles away from the brewery. We make all the wort at the brewery, then truck that wort over to Rue, and that's where we're actually adding. It might just be our standard house yeast, but there's typically going to be either some sort of strain of Brett or souring bacteria in there. Most of our sour beers actually ferment 100% in oak. So besides a couple of them, they spend their entire lives in oak. They never go into stainless fermenters. So over there is also where all the barrel aging takes place. We have a whole separate packaging line over there and a separate crew of brewers who specialize in making the best sour beer they can make and the best wild beer they can make.
So I'm gonna tell you, man, I really love y'all, man, because well, first of all, not to blow smoke, but I've never had a bad beer from y'all, and like a Belgian Golden is typically I'm gonna turn it down every single time, right? But tonight I wanted to be drinking a beer from you.
For you.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically right. I need some Black Tuesday in my life.
I'll send you some more key lime by Black Tuesday.
Okay. But, I wanted to definitely be drinking one of your beers tonight. So Mischief was one that I see all the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and try it, right? And I'm really enjoying this beer. I mean, it's a Belgian Golden, but it's not. I don't know what y'all did, but it's a little different. Maybe I'm enjoying.
Yeah, so we use all the sort of typical IPA, West Coast C hops, as they would say, kind of stuff in there. So, but it's not over the top. We're not going for a bitter quality. We just want that kind of citrus zesty and a little bit of pine flavor in there. But again, not over the top, so you still get that Belgian fruity character. No, it's a good beer. It's something we worked on to perfect a while back.
Yeah,
people seem to like it.
It's not like like in a sense it reminds me of like Cigar City High Lie, right? High Lie is not the best IPA I've ever had, but it's just solidly good,
yeah.
right? Mischief is not. I mean, it's not like a Barry Bonds didn't hit it 550 feet, right? but at the same time, it's like it's a really good beer, right? So it's well made, I guess, for lack of a better expression.
That's a good sign. If you have a style that you normally don't like and you find a beer that you love in that style, that means it's really good.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up some more of this for sure, and it's readily available at my store. So
that's one of the only we only make I think 3 year-round beers, and that's one of them. So
what are the other two?
We have a Belgian, we call it like a Belgian table beer, a Belgian pale ale called Jardinier. And then we have Saison Rue on the True line. It's our rye Saison. Those are the only year-round bottle beers.
Is the Jardinier out already, or it's coming out
yet?
Yet?
No, that should be on shelves anywhere that has carries our product.
So you never repeat your Black Wednesday? Is that Black Wednesday?
Local Wednesday.
Yeah, Local Wednesday.
Yeah, we repeat them. We make them once a year usually.
So
it's hard to get.
Chart of Darkness was one of my favorite beers you guys ever made, but I never saw it again. Is that gonna come out ever back?
It should be out there. It comes out once a year. That one goes into. We have I think 4 main sour ales that go into distribution. That's one of them.
Okay.
So,
I haven't seen in my area.
When I see Chart of Darkness, I'm like, why is this here? I'm looking around to see if people are looking at me like. I'm just going to go ahead and grab this and hurry up and get out of this store. Yep. So, if you guys were, up until 3 months ago, brewing on a 15-barrel system, do you even have a pilot system, or do you just go for broke on 15 barrels at a time?
So, yeah, we're ridiculous in that we actually have a 3-barrel pilot system with 14 fermenters. So we have kind of like an entire separate nano brewery.
Right. It's somebody's job to brew pilot beers.
But you have
we do have a straight up pilot. We call him our experimental brewer. Yeah, he's basically he runs our.
But you have a lot of barrels there too, right? Adding to all those, you're aging a lot of stuff in barrels as well, right?
Yeah, we do a lot of barrel fermentation on our sour beers, and then we actually have one of the biggest barrel programs in the country as far as aging. We've got I don't know what the count is at any given moment, but it's around 3,000 oak barrels between either bourbon barrels or sour barrels.
So when it comes to storage, you have quite a nice amount of storage.
We have a lot of warehouses.
You have to, right? I mean,
we are warehouse rich.
So I mean, and that's, I mean, I wonder how it's going to impact you guys with the cost of particularly bourbon barrels skyrocketing. I mean, you probably can get, especially in California, you probably can get wine barrels left and right, but bourbon barrels are probably not hard to come by, but I'm sure you guys are paying a premium for that. I mean, is that
they've gone up a bit. But for us, it's not too bad because we have such a big program. You know, most breweries are trying to hit up these distilleries or the whoever they're buying their barrels from and say, oh, we need 20 bourbon barrels. For us, we say send us a truck. So we'll take we take 400 at a time, no problem.
Okay. Okay.
They'd rather send us barrels because it's easy. It's just one-stop shopping.
Yeah. So how are you guys? It's kind of shifting away from the actual beer itself, but I mean, you guys are in Southern California. Obviously, California is in the middle of an historical drought. How is that impacting your production with the water restrictions and stuff like that are in place?
So far, we're okay. Let's just not jinx it.
Okay. Well,
they basically give us warnings. They've given us warnings of impending doom, but so far they haven't changed anything.
Okay.
So
we're
brewing as is until they tell us we can't.
So as to your water quality hasn't fallen at all?
Nope, we're not talking about water no more. We are not going to jinx it. We are not going to jinx it.
Nothing at all has changed so far.
Unless you want to move out to the east.
Well, there you go. We'll go to Asheville with everybody else.
That way I'm more likely to get it, so I'm all for that.
Well, that's why everyone's going to Asheville, I guess. They got good water. But no, nothing's changed so far, but we do need some rain or else. I mean, we've got, I think last count is over 600 breweries in California, so that's a lot of places that need water to make beer.
Yeah, but I think that restriction on breweries is gonna be one of the last things. If you think about how much water is spent on other things like golf course and stuff like that.
Well, people also forget how many crops come out of California. You don't think of it as a farming state, but we have a lot of land here. You only think of San Francisco and Los Angeles. Forget about the entire Central Valley, and there's a lot of crops that come out of California. So it's going to be an interesting couple of years.
You can use recycled water in crops. You can't use recycled water in beer.
Well, I don't know. Do you want avocados or do you want beer?
Beer.
Let's stop talking about water because I don't want to jinx y'all, man. If you guys get slapped with a water restriction tomorrow, I'm gonna
do an avocado saison. We can try that.
There's the LA brewery that made an avocado beer. Actually, it was interesting.
Interesting. Well, I'm gonna change gears a little bit and talk about a few of the news articles that we found this week. Freddie, you want to talk about the article you found regarding that lawsuit that guy had against Blue Moon or SAB?
Yep. So someone filed a lawsuit against I think it's Millicor, who owns Blue Moon.
Yeah, we actually talked about the news at the time here. The guy wasn't happy because he was thinking that having Blue Moon on some of the menus under craft beer was misleading.
Is that rearing its head again?
Yeah. So it looks like the judge basically said that on the website everything's clearly labeled, so it's not misleading essentially. But there's I guess the gentleman's saying that under the Brewers Association classifies that craft brewery has to make less than 6 million barrels and less of beer annually, and has to be owned less than 25% owned or controlled by a larger non-craft brewery. And he's saying that because of that, they can't be labeled, or they can't be basically in the store. They can't be with the craft beer, pretty much. And basically it's disguising to regular customers Blue Moon as a craft beer. Um, Basically, at the end of it, the judge said that they have to come up with basically a new claim or redefine their claim, to continue this process. So, I mean, the fight's not over with them, basically, but there's some work, I guess, going on. And I guess that basically means that a lot of smaller craft breweries are going to have to find a newer way or new label, a different way to label themselves as craft breweries, it seems like, for now, because there's a lot of, holes in the game.
The biggest problem with craft beer is that craft beer is not a certification, right? Like organic or fair trade or those things. It's just an association decide to create guidelines, but that guidelines are now law. It doesn't stop anybody. Because I know down in South America, a lot of Brahma and Antarctica, which are owned by InBev, they call themselves artisanal beers, which is basically craft beer. And so, yeah, until there is like a certification that registered and everything, and then people have to get the certification to be craft brewer, there is no, it's just wild, wild west. People can call themselves whatever they want.
I think the designation craft beer is driven solely by the passion of the brewers and the passion of the drinkers. I mean, that's about as close as we can get to any level of certification, at least at the moment, right? I mean, the Brewers Association, they have their definition, but I mean, the definition is only recognized by us, right? The federal government.
We'd have to pick an authority to decide what that definition is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, the problem will be resolved, just like Gil said, in my opinion, when there's an actual certification for craft beer. Once it's defined and recognized legally, then
or whatever word they want to use, right?
Yeah, I mean, Blue Moon is there's no denying that it's crafty. It's crafty beer for sure, and they're trying to Blue Moon, Shock Top, a bunch of other brands. They are intentionally trying to deceive the customer because they don't have their parent brewery anywhere on their labeling because they know how the typical craft beer drinker feels about it. So they're intentionally trying to deceive craft beer drinkers and people who are just coming into craft beer, in my opinion. And I think that's crappy.
Well, how does that play in with all the buyouts? How does that play in if you're 10 Barrel, Elysian, Golden Road, St. Archer, Goose Island, all these guys who are making their own beer that happen to be owned by a bigger company?
Yeah, exactly. So how is a judge or anybody is going to be able to make a rule, and a ruling on which basis? One is exactly as you said, Blue Moon, not Blue Moon, 10 Barrels and Elysian and those breweries, who basically, if nobody touched them yet, they are craft beers, but they're owned by it's very hard. I don't think anybody going to be able to create any. No judge is gonna say yay or nay for something like that.
It's gonna be hard off the bat. These guys, you're talking about big companies, these micro breweries, and they get tons of money, tons of lawyers. They're gonna find loopholes for a while. It's gonna take a lot of work.
And those lawsuits have to be careful because they can have backlash like this. And right now the Blue Moon or the Rita Lime or whatever is the name of that beer is. It's gonna have some kind of a, basis. Somebody said, yeah, we are craft beer. That's.
Well, that's where we come into play, right? I mean, before we move along, but I just want to say that, like the people who are being deceived by these breweries aren't us, and so we have to make it a point to keep being vigilant about this that we are passionate about. And do our part to educate people. I mean, we don't want to push people away. We just want to educate people. At the end of the day, you gotta let people drink what they want to drink, buy what they want to buy. But you can always seize opportunities to just let them know. Drop a little seed here and there. So until that certification exists, craft beer exists because it's our passion and it's the brewer's passion, right?
And we always repeat this over and over here in this show that we're not saying 10 Barrels is bad beer or Elysian makes bad beer. Our problem is not with the beer or anything. Our problem is we don't like big companies like AB because of business practice. Our problem is with business practice, not with beer.
Yeah.
Which seems like the issue here, right? That's what the guy, not to keep talking about, like Randy said, that's the issue. The guy's saying, if I'm new to beer, period, not even craft beer, and I go see American craft beer, it's segmented by region, and I'm going, or whatever the case may be, and I see the brewery, I see Sierra Nevada, etc., and I see Blue Moon right in the middle of that, and I'm like, oh, that looks interesting. It has a little orange slice in the glass. Let me grab that. Again, that's disguising. He's not technically now. This guy is not supporting a local or craft brewery, or or by our standards, a craft brewery. Now he's supporting one of the big guys.
Yeah,
and that's I think that's the basis of it.
Unknowingly supporting one of the big guys. That's
because Founders is not considered craft beer anymore. But for me, it's I'm not gonna say they're
production wise.
It's good, that's for sure. It's still good.
Because they are owned 30%, more than 30% is owned by Capital Fan.
Yeah. So speaking of craft beer, as we're talking about craft beer all night, there are some brewers who are worried about the future of craft beer. Lola, you wanna talk about that a little bit in the article that you found?
Yep, and this plays directly into what we were saying. The article is from New York Times, and it focuses on Brooklyn Brewery, specifically Steve Hindy, one of the founders. And one of his arguments is because of distribution, because there are large distributors, and they already kind of they kind of don't pay attention to Brooklyn Brewery because it's a smaller brewery, and so he's worried with all the buying out of the smaller breweries that the distributors are going to become bigger, and smaller breweries like his are going to get lost in the shuffle.
How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that, Benjamin? I think you are as a brewery, you can talk a little bit about. We have such a different answers about this booming. It's too much, too little. What do you guys have a view of what's going to be?
That's what people are finally realizing, that's what they should be worried about. We should spend less time worrying about the fact that a brewery is selling out, whatever you want to call it, and more, most states have a 3-tier system. We can't sell, in California we actually can, but in most states you can't sell directly from a brewery to a retail store or to a bar or to a restaurant. You have to go through a distributor, and a lot of distributors are already ran either by, in one way or another, by Miller Coors or by AB InBev or one of these other companies, and that's what you should be scared of, because they can box you out. They can't completely illegally stop. It would be illegal for them to stop selling your beer, but they certainly have ways to incentivize their sales staff to sell what they want to sell.
Well, but I think my question is more like, how do you view this booming? Do you think is going to be such a thing as too many breweries, or there's
on the boom?
Way too much? There's a lot of room yet to go.
I think there will be. It's a boom. It's a bubble. You can't deny it. I think some breweries will get weeded out, but I think there's still tons of room. I think there's a lot of space in this country where they still need craft breweries. I think it's amazing all these local places that are going up, but open them in places that need them instead of opening one right next to another. That's what I figure.
Ben, I'll say this. I agree and disagree with you. I agree because, like you said, there are a lot of places that still don't have and need. They need craft beer, okay? They need it.
They need it.
But at the same time, there's still room for growth, but there will be contraction in saturated areas. You just got through talking about how many breweries are there in California? 600?
Somewhere around 600 or 700, yeah. There's over 100 in San Diego.
That's insane. 100 craft breweries in one city. In one city.
A brewery every day opens in U.S. Every day a new brewery opens in
But
Whitefish.
100 craft breweries in one city.
Yeah.
That's too
That's
much choice.
that's not sustainable. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe there's
And somehow they're still succeeding, and San Diego's got some big ones
Those
too.
alcoholic Californians, I'm telling you.
Probably the Navy.
It's too pretty here. We got to drink all the time.
I think this goes back to something that I talk about all the time, and that it's all about what your intentions are as a brewery. If you want to be Oscar Blues and essentially paint the country, red, white, and silver, or red, white, and blue, or whatever it is, then that's one thing. But if you're content serving your community and that's your business model,
100%.
There's so much more room for expansion if that's the case. So maybe that's the deal in
nail on the head.
But David Walker said something about that. He said, there's so many breweries and it's growing so much in Colorado. Remember, he commented that, as you said, either you make a decision to be small, or you get off the state and start going, nationwide. And that, and that's part, I guess, we didn't know at the time about they were expanding and getting, money from Boulevard. But I think that was his point. I mean, you have to make a decision at some point. You want to grow, or you want to just be content. And
you either have to be happy just literally being a community, almost a brew pub. And I know there are, what's the numbers? I forget, there's 4,000 breweries in the U.S. now.
Yeah, 4,000.
I think at least half of those are brew pubs. So we're not talking about packaged beer that you're seeing even on local shelves. This is beer that's being sold directly from a brewery. I mean, it's more like saying there's 2,000 restaurants that happen to make beer.
And some of them are even microbreweries. Some of them like tap room only, right?
There's four around here. There's 4 around here that haven't lived the county yet.
So
So that's the thing. If you're happy with that situation and you're fine selling your beer right out of your tasting room, you can do that. But you have to decide if that's sustainable or not. Because otherwise, especially out here, or if you're in San Diego, particularly south of us, you've got Stone, Green Flash, Ballast Point, Coronado. I mean, you got these big behemoth breweries down there. That's hard to compete against if you're planning on getting that big.
Yeah.
So there's only room for so many of those guys.
We didn't mention Alpine and Green Flash. I think Green Flash purchased Alpine.
I don't know how that deal is structured, but
something like that. Something like that. Yeah.
They make Alpine beer at Green Flash now.
Yeah.
So speaking of breweries and their distribution ambitions and stuff like that, I found an article on Brewbound where they spoke about Oscar Blues and their current distribution. And by early 2016, Oscar Blues is aiming for straight up national distribution, like 50 states. They just announced expansion into Mississippi and Utah. So now they're with that expansion, they're in 46 states right now. And the 4 that they're not in are North Dakota, South Dakota, Oklahoma, and Montana, and they plan to be there in the first half of 2016.
They just have a brewery right next door of some of those states, right?
So I mean, that's insane. I mean,
they got 2 breweries now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so
I think they got 10 states just on this year alone. They got into 10 different states.
Nine. Mississippi and Utah mark the 8th and 9th state that they've gotten to this year, 2015. So that's Oscar Blues. I mean, they're making great beer. We spoke a little bit about selling out and the definition of being a craft brewery and not being owned by more than 25% of another brewery. But in March, and I just found this out, I know this is old news, but it flew directly under my radar. In March, they sold an undisclosed stake to a private equity firm, Fireman Capital, and simultaneously they acquired Michigan's Perrin Brewing. Had no idea. Didn't even know that happened. And so
I had never heard about Perrin Brewing.
Me neither. So
where are they?
Michigan. That's all I got.
Okay.
And so all that said, they're about to be a brewery that's in 50 states, probably not even, well, definitely not in the top 5, maybe not even in the top 10 breweries in the country from a production standpoint. They're on pace to produce 200,000 barrels of beer this year, and they're in 50 states. If I had to guess, I would have guessed that Oscar Blues was brewing 800,000 barrels a year for sure, but 200,000. Well, they said they're on pace to produce upwards of 200,000 barrels this year.
Well, when is their new brewery scheduled to open?
It's open.
Or I mean, yeah, that's true.
In Brevard, North
I was
Carolina.
confused. Yeah, Brevard. Yeah, I was confused with somebody else.
I can't help but to wonder if that's a typo, saying that they're scheduled to produce upwards of 200,000, but I would have guessed that they were producing way more than that.
That sounds right.
It wouldn't surprise me. And you look at that number, and that's what would scare people in this industry. Because, I look at our company. We were talking about, we only did 10,000 barrels, and we're in half as many states as someone making 200,000. We make a very specialized beer, and that's kind of the business that we're in and that we know we're going to be in. But it makes me so glad we don't make an IPA, because that's how hard it is to sell.
Yeah.
5 years ago, you could have sold all that beer in probably your local state. But now there's so much competition out there that if you want to sell that beer, you got to be everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the wave of innovation is going to be having specialty beers. Like for example, in Freddie's neck of the wood, Jack's Abbey, they specialize in lagers. That's all they do is lagers.
Niche, right? Find a niche.
Nobody else is doing that. You know what I'm saying? You guys been essentially specializing barrel aging almost all of your beers. And I mean, that's the thing that makes you unique. That's the reason why people are selling right arms and left legs to get Black Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? It's those type of things that start to differentiate you from everybody else who's in the game. You know what I mean? So,
adventure ho.
Yeah, absolutely. Being fearless and doing what hasn't been done already. So. Yeah. That said, let me talk about some releases.
And there's a lot of room for creativity too. I mean, there's a lot of there, to be explored yet.
Yes, that's the beauty of craft beer. You can take a few basic ingredients and make this liquid that people will gladly spend their money on, and come back and do it again, and come back and do it again. You know what I mean? That's the beauty of craft beer. And you can and what you can do with these ingredients is almost limitless. Like you said, you can do so much with it. So that's in my opinion, that's the beauty of craft beer.
That's part why the American American beer industry exploded and is surpassing European beers and stuff. Is that the same thing with the wine? Like they prove that you make great wine on stainless steel, and the same thing goes for beer. I think there's they're willing to put anything on a beer.
Yeah, why not? That's the American spirit. Damn the rules.
I think that helps too, because like it's so palate driven. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, like there's so many craft breweries, but some of these real 2-barrel, 1-barrel, like micro nano breweries can stay open like locally and only, like you said, like almost a brew pub, because like there might be somebody who say, you know what, I like this beer. This is going to be my go-to every day. You know what I mean? Locally, and that keeps them going. That keeps driving. That's all they want to do.
All right, I'm gonna talk about some releases that we have coming up. Stone is releasing their Enjoy by Black IPA on November 27th. That's going to be along the lines of their of the Enjoy by series, except this is the Black IPA. That's going to be, it's California only right now, but it's going to be nationwide next year, I think.
Yeah, it's starting on February, I think.
Okay. Left Hand, they're releasing their Wake Up Dead Imperial Russian Stout on Nitro. That was released on Tuesday. Dogfish Head, their Higher Math 20th Anniversary Golden Ale brewed with chocolate and sour cherry juice, 17% ABV. Ben, they're giving you a run for your money, dude.
17%. We'll see that. So we got Black Tuesday Reserve. Black Tuesday Reserve is 20.5. So.
Wow.
You win. You win.
You win.
That's gonna
be. Take that, Sam.
Yeah, how much is Palo? Do you remember how much is Palo Alto? Oh, Palo Santo.
Palo Santo Marron.
Is that 15 and a half?
And they're what's it called? The 120 minutes. I think over 20%, isn't it?
They give you a range for 120.
Yeah, they give you a range.
50%, right?
You can call it a beer.
That's what I'm drinking now.
Oh, really?
No.
Slurred. He's like,
I don't know.
What are you drinking, by the way? What are you drinking?
Oh yes, of course. I'm drinking the. Where's my camera there?
There you go.
Decommission. It's actually a employee-only beer that we made when we took our. It's the last beer that we brewed on our 15-barrel system before we installed the 30-barrel.
It's a lager.
It's a hoppy lager finished with Brett.
Nice.
Wow. What do you call it's like a lager IPA sour? It's like everything in the...
There's a lot going on. Yeah, it's super dry, super bready. It's good. Very hoppy.
Nice. All right, so
People's in a bottle.
Hardywood out of Richmond, they're releasing their Trickery on Saturday, my birthday. That's their stout. That's aged. I think that one's actually a milk stout, a sweet stout.
It's a milk stout, yeah.
They brew a lot of milk stouts down there, but this one is aged. It's aged in apple brandy barrels for 8 months. It's gonna clock in at 13%.
I thought it was a Russian Imperial that they would make this time, but then maybe...
It's a milk stout. It's a milk stout this time.
Because what's the name of the other one? It's Trickery and Foolery. That's what's okay.
Firestone Walker is releasing their 19th anniversary barrel-aged American Strong Ale. That's actually blended with I think 3 or 4 of their beers on November 1. I think they meant to say October 31st. Very few beers get released on a Sunday, but yeah, I'm gonna be trying.
Well, again, we talk about they have the release party on the 31st, and then it's on the shelves on the November 1st.
Okay. Sierra Nevada is releasing Celebration IPA. That's already released. I'm going to get a case. Haven't seen it yet, but when I see it, I'll get a case. Founders Backward Bastard Barrel-Aged Scotch Ale released this past Saturday. Oscar Blues Death by Coconut, their Irish Porter, that was released this week. I'm sure that's going to be delicious. Evil Twin is so we had Yeppy on about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I was drinking Molotov Light, which is their 8% their 8% IPA, and they have the regular Molotov, which is 13%. They're gonna be releasing Evil Twin Molotov Cocktail Heavy, which is 17.2% Imperial IPA. That's gonna be only in bombers. Okay.
Beers when they get over 16, they should get its own category. It almost can't call it beer anymore.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
we don't
Shut
even
up, a little bow.
we don't even have a release date for this beer, but I thought it was worth mentioning because it's a 17.2% Imperial IPA. Stone, as part of their Bastard series, they're gonna have Arrogant Bastard, Double Bastard, Oaked Bastard, and then they're also releasing this year Depth Charged Double Bastard.
Oh, that's the odd one in the back.
That's the one that they're brewing with espresso beans at 11.2%. That's going to be released in November. And our friends Trillium, shout out to Trillium, see him right there, the hat, out of Boston, Freddy's neck of the woods. Heavy Metal Dipper is going to be released on the 1st or the 2nd, somewhere around there. If you haven't had a chance to get some Trillium, get a connect in the Boston area. Don't connect with Freddie. He's friends of me. Yeah, he's booked. But those guys are making some great beers. Ben, you guys got anything coming up other than Black Tuesday?
Black Tuesdays, we always have something coming up. You want to know about things that you can actually get your hands on? Or,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, out in the world, you got the 8 Maids of Milken coming out, or just came out. Oud Tart, which is our Flemish Red, that's hitting shelves right now. Humulus Tarot is getting around a little bit. That's like a super hoppy saison, I guess you'd call that one.
The Jardinier just came out this week, right?
No, Jardinier's been out all year, actually. You just haven't
yeah.
seen that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in like it's got a cute pink label. But then we've got a million more coming out for our societies. We just packaged up Winification 3, which is Black Tuesday blended with, Black Tuesday co-fermented with what I believe is Grenache grapes. So that, that's a normal one. We got Oud Tart with boysenberries. We got we're just packaging Ruse right now, which is our Goose style beer. And this year we made a special version called Humulus Ruse, which is a dry hopped variation of our Goose. But I mean, our stuff never stops. We have a beer We package at least one beer a week, if not three. Kind of never ends.
And if you're fortunate enough to be in Placentia, you can go to the brewery for, I think it's this weekend. You guys are having Black Tuesday blended with Autumn Maple.
On Halloween, yeah, I think we got the Black Tuesday Autumn Maple Blend. We've got stuff going on all week, actually, just because of the Black Tuesday release. So we've got interesting things on tap every day.
Okay.
Just check us out on Facebook.
That autumn maple is definitely worth grabbing a bottle of. I had some of that at our September Fest here in Corvallis. It was really nice.
Yeah, thank you. I hate the beer seasons because everything comes out too early. Because that's like an amazing. It's a Thanksgiving beer, but it comes out in July.
That's one of our big things. Don't get us started because we'll start talking about pumpkin beer.
Don't get us started talking about seasonal creep, man.
Yeah, I'm actually going to follow the food recommendations on the brewery website. I'm definitely going to have brie with fig jam and some nice grilled Brussels sprouts along with that turkey and stuffing.
There you go.
Awesome.
All right. So festivals that are coming up. Halloween Witchcraft Beer Fest in Geneva, Illinois. That's going to be on the 2nd, on a Monday. I guess that's how they get down. Okay.
I hope I got the right. I can check for you.
Autos and Ales, Hershey, Pennsylvania, up in Gill's neck of the woods. That's going to be on November 6th, which should be Friday of next week. San Diego Beer Week is going on for 2 days. November 6th.
For 2 days? I think that's going on a little longer than 2 days.
Yeah, I think that's a little. I think we got a typo there.
It starts on the 6th and goes 2 weekends.
Okay, there you go. 2 weekends. Okay.
Yeah, every beer week now is like actually 10 days because that way you get 2 weekends and you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, then the middle of the week, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday again.
There you go. The All Colorado Beer Fest in Colorado Springs, Colorado, November 7th. Attack of the Big Beers. That's going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm sure that's going to be well.
Sorry, so I'm looking at my notes here. I mistyped that. It's from the 6th to the 15th. San Diego Beer Week.
All right.
Yeah.
Attack of the Big Beers, Charlotte, North Carolina. Ashley Bauer just joined us. I'm sure she's probably going to be there. I'm sure Noda is going to have a presence there. Maybe Old Mecklenburg, some of the others up in Charlotte, the Unknown Brewery. So this one's a little trippy for me. Bluffton International Beer Expo in Bluffton, South Carolina, my neck of the woods, November 7th. No idea how that's going to be, but I'm glad to see craft beer in my hometown. So, Ben, you guys got any festivals coming up that you're going to be attending or pouring at so the people can come and see you and meet you and put their hands on employee number 3?
And you make it sound really exciting since the answer is...
You better charge for photos, dude.
No, actually. We don't do a ton of festivals. We do a few of our local ones that we like, but otherwise we only do a select few. We don't have anything coming up. I don't think until the beginning of next year.
Okay.
Too busy brewing. Yeah, we'll be, I think, in like January. I think it's in January is the Big Beers Festival out in Vail. And then we'll be at the Extreme Beer Fest that Beer Advocate puts on out in Boston. But
whoa!
Yeah, we don't do too many. We don't do too many, so
we'll do it. I'll be there.
Freddie about to put on his tap
well,
shoes.
Here's the thing. I was just.
Give me his ballerina shoes, right?
That's Super Bowl weekend, so it could be a very crazy weekend there in Boston.
I like that.
Hopefully not. All right.
Let me make another correction before you end. See, that's why you shouldn't drink and do the document for the script for the show. Halloween Witchcraft Beer Fest is on October 31st, which is Halloween. Yeah.
I was gonna say Halloween. The Halloween festival is on the 2nd on a Monday.
Okay, that was not a normal week for me. Okay, so give me some.
It's all fun, Gil. It's all fun and love. It's just beer, man. Let's just drink it. So look, that's our show. Hey Ben, man, you've been a fantastic guest. We love the brewery. We love the beer that you guys are putting out. I'm still flabbergasted that you guys are only 10,000-ish barrels, and but you know, I gotta tell you, man, that says a lot about who you are as a brewery for you to have such a strong name in craft beer, but you're only putting out 10,000 barrels. So you guys are doing something right, and we love you guys, man. So thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to talk to us. And yeah, we wish you guys nothing but the best.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And keep
That was awesome.
Absolutely.
So be sure to join us next week. I cannot remember or don't know who the guest is going to be.
Just because I just closed the.
But be sure to join us next week when we have another awesome guest on the show. So until then, remember, find some great friends, get some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.